what we talking about, y'all. Just by way of information, as y'all know, we can't shout without the information. Now y'all know that wasn't nothing new. Just by way of information. The book of Revelation, as it is called, the Revelation of John, which is the revelation of John about Jesus Christ. Just to give you insight, we can't deal with the contents as it relates to what's in the meat of it, but we have to deal with verse 12. And behold, I come quickly. But nevertheless, the book of Revelation, as we said, was written by John. John is in the Isle of Patmos, minding his own business. And then all of a sudden, he heard behind him a great voice, as of a trumpet. And when John turned to see it, he heard a voice saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. He told him, what thou seest, I want you to write it in a book and send it unto the 7 churches. The book of Revelation is comprised of 3 components. The first thing that Jesus, who is speaking to John, tells him, I want you to write about the things which thou hast seen. Can I share with you what John saw? Watch this here. John says, and I turned to see, Revelation chapter 1, beginning verse 12. He says, and I turned to see the voice that spake with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man. He was clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. John says, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. But that wasn't it. He said that in his right hand, good God Almighty, 7 stars. And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. And his countenance was as the sun shining in his strength. John says, I saw this, and Jesus says, I want you to write what you saw. The question, my brothers and sisters, is how can you go on after you've seen something like this? How can you go on? But what Jesus has shown him is enough to make any man fall to his knees and stay there for a little while. From what he saw. But he tells him, the second thing I want you to do, I want you to write that which is. So he tells him to write unto the 7 churches. Then I want you to write that which shall be hereafter. And many of us as believing saints of God, we don't focus enough on the what shall be hereafter. We know that Jesus came in the likeness of man. We know that he was 100% God and 100% man, hypostatic union. But one of the things we don't talk about is what's going to happen in the hereafter. We're not preparing ourselves for what's going to happen when Paul said that, behold, the Lord shall descend from heaven with a shout. We don't have our eyes fixed on that. But he tells John, I want you to write about the stuff that's going to happen hereafter. So John writes about the prophecies of tribulation. He writes about the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls, which represent judgment. He writes about the prophecies of the second coming. Talks about the marriage supper of the Lamb. He talks about the prophecies of the millennium when Satan will be bound for 1,000 years, but then he'll be loosed. He talks about how the saints will reign with Jesus for 1,000 years. That's what's going to be the hereafter. When was the last time you had a conversation about the hereafter? He talks about Satan's army being defeated. When God will send from heaven fire and consume his army, and Satan will be cast into the lake of fire. He goes on to talk about that new heaven, God Almighty, and that new earth, and all things have been passed away, and all things have become new. He's telling us that the earth will one day be as God has intended it to be. Hallelujah. He begins to talk about the hereafter, and I come to let you know that one of these days, we're going to have to enter from out of time into eternity, the hereafter. The people of God have not prepared ourselves. That's why folk are still doing what they're doing, because they're not ready for the hereafter. Do you not understand? Yes, God's grace abides, but in the hereafter you won't need no grace. We shall talk here a little while. Your abusing grace gonna run out. Talks about that new heaven and that new earth. That's it for the information. But let me say this to you so that you will understand the concept of what the Spirit of God has given to me, his humble servant. Understand that Jesus says, behold, I come quickly. And he says, my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. One thing we have to understand about God is God has always been, somebody say always. He's always been about work. He's always been about work. If you look in Genesis, the first chapter, the first verse, the very first thing you see is God working. The Bible says in the beginning God created. He's working. And when he finishes creation, what he does is the Bible says that he creates man. And what he does to man is gives him a mind of working, not the work that we know today that's due to sin. But he puts Adam in the garden that he might keep it and dress it. You got to do some work. The Bible says he calls a man by the name of Noah. Tells Noah, I got some work I need you to do. I need you to build me an ark, because it's going to rain. I know you've never seen rain before, but the mouth of God has spoken it. Just build the ark. I got some work for you to do. He later comes by and tells a man by the name of Abraham, come here, Abraham, I got some work for you to do. I want you to leave your kinfolk, go into a land that I will show you, because I want you to be the father of many nations. I want you to lead my people in the realm of faith. Got some work for you to do. Comes back and finds another man, good God Almighty, by the name of Moses. He said, Moses, come here, son. I got some work I need you to do. I want you to go down into Egypt, and I want you to tell Pharaoh, let my people go. He's always been about the work. Moses does his job. He calls another young man by the name of Joshua. He said, Joshua, come here, son. I got some work I want you to do. I want you to lead my people into the promised land. Jesus. Calls another young man, little shepherd boy, by the name of David. Says, come here, David. Got some work I need you to do. Anybody see where we're going here? He said, I got some work for you to do.